I never thought my life would end on a night like this. The rain smashed against my face so hard it felt like the sky itself was trying to bury me. I ran down the deserted road with my phone in my shaking hand, chasing the red tail lights of the car speeding away from me. Inside that car were the two people who had shattered my world in a single hour. Sana! Ryan! I shouted, but the storm swallowed my voice. I kept running anyway, because stopping meant accepting the truth I wasn't ready to face. When I saw that message on Rayan's phone earlier, my chest had felt like glass breaking. Sana's name, her words, her love for him spelled out so clearly it mocked every moment I had trusted her. When I confronted them in the living room, Sana didn't even bother to deny it. She just said, "You should have seen it coming." Rayan tried to act guilty, but his eyes kept drifting toward her like I was already gone. I remembered every meeting they stole from me, every idea they twisted, every rumor they planted to turn Ami and Abu against me. I called Hamza while I ran, though I could barely breathe. "Where are you?" he kept asking, but I couldn't answer. My voice kept breaking. "They lied," I kept saying. "They took everything." Hamza begged me to stop running and wait for him, but I felt like something inside me had snapped open and there was no way to close it again. The rain blurred the road, and my tears blurred everything else. I kept hearing Sana's voice in my head, saying I was weak, saying no one believed me, saying she deserved the life I had built. The road ahead of me glowed with the faint lights of passing cars. I tried calling Sana again, even though I knew she wouldn't care. "Why?" I shouted into the phone. "Why did you do this to me?" Her voice came back sharp. "Don't make this dramatic. You were just in the way." I stumbled when I heard that. "I loved you," I whispered. "I trusted you." She sighed like I was annoying her. "That's the problem. You always thought your feelings mattered." I felt something inside me crumble, something I didn't think I could ever repair. The rain grew heavier, slapping my skin like cold hands. Headlights flashed across the road and I shielded my eyes. I didn't care where I was going. I just wanted answers. I dialed Rayan next. He picked up with a tired sigh. "Sanya, stop embarrassing yourself." His voice made my stomach twist. "You lied to me," I said. "You said you loved me." He laughed under his breath. "You believe that? Sana is smarter, stronger, and her family will help my career. Don't make this messy." My legs almost gave out. "You used me," I whispered. He didn't even deny it. "It was never personal," he said. "You just weren't enough." Those words hit me harder than the rain ever could. Something inside me broke open. I stopped in the middle of the street, breathing hard. "I gave you everything," I said, "and you threw me away like trash." He didn't answer. Maybe he didn't care. Maybe he never did. I lowered the phone, shaking so badly I could barely hold it. The storm roared in my ears. I felt small, hollow, like the world had already moved on without me. A bright flash of headlights suddenly cut through the rain, blinding me. I froze, unable to move. My phone buzzed in my hand again, and Sana's voice came through the speaker. "It had to be you," she said, her tone cold and shaking. I didn't understand. "What do you mean?" I asked, stepping back, but the road was slick. The headlights grew larger, louder, closer. "You should have stayed quiet," she said. "You should have stayed out of our way." I felt my heart stop. "Sana, please." But the rest of my words drowned under the roar of the truck rushing toward me. The world exploded into white light, then disappeared completely. And I let everything go. I gasped so hard my chest hurt. For a moment I thought I was fighting for air in a hospital bed, waking up after the crash. But when I opened my eyes, the room around me didn't make sense. The walls were painted a soft blue, my old posters were still taped up, and the ceiling fan I hated was spinning above me. I pushed myself up, my hands trembling. No, this can't be real, I whispered. My body felt lighter, younger. There were no bruises, no aches, nothing. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. It was my old phone, the one I lost years ago. When the screen lit up, I felt my blood freeze. The date, the year. 3 years. I'm 3 years back, I breathed. My heart raced so fast I thought it might burst. Am I dead? Is this some dream? I slapped my own arm hard. The sting was sharp, real, too real. Before I could think more, Ami's voice floated up the stairs. Sonia, Beta, breakfast. I froze. Her voice, her warm, busy tone, the way she sounded before everything soured. I stood up and walked out of my room on shaky legs. When I reached the kitchen doorway, I saw her. Ami, alive and smiling, cooking parathas. Abu sat at the table reading the paper, humming softly. And Sana, she looked up at me with wide, sweet eyes. Good morning, Api, she said in her soft little sister voice. My stomach twisted. She looked innocent, but I knew what she was capable of. I forced a small smile. Morning, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. My fingers dug into my palms. Everything felt like a cruel joke. The people who betrayed me were acting like nothing had happened. Because it hadn't happened yet. Abu folded his paper. You look tired. Did you study late again? He asked. I blinked. Study? I hadn't heard that tone in years. I nodded slowly. Yeah, something like that. Sana walked around the table and brushed a stray hair behind my ear like she used to. You should rest more, AP, she said softly. I stepped back before she could touch me again. I'm fine, I said quickly. Her smile flickered for a second. Just a second. But I saw it. The real her hiding under the mask. I had missed it the first time. Not now. After breakfast, I slipped outside to breathe. The old neighborhood looked the same. The trees. The street. Even the stray cat sleeping on the wall. My hands shook as I stared at everything. Is this real? I whispered. Did I really come back? My phone buzzed. A familiar name flashed on the screen. Hamza. My chest tightened. He was the only person who stayed true to me until the end. I picked up. Hello? I said, trying not to cry. His voice came through, warm and teasing. Did you forget we're meeting today? You didn't oversleep again, right? I closed my eyes as relief washed over me. Hamza, I'm really happy to hear your voice. He paused. Are you okay? You sound weird. I'm fine, just happy, I whispered. I couldn't tell him everything. Not yet. But hearing him again grounded me. When we met at the small shop near our old bus stop, he waved like always, grinning. You look pale. Are you sick? He asked. I shook my head. No, just thinking. That's dangerous for you, he joked. I let out a small laugh, but inside I was studying everything. His clothes, his backpack, even the way he held his teacup. All of it matched my memories. Hamza? I asked quietly. Do you ever feel like you want to do something over again? He blinked. Over again? Like, if you had a second chance, I said. He looked at me for a long moment. If I did, I'd protect the people who matter more, he said simply. His words hit deeper than he knew. The entire day I tested tiny details I remembered. Neighbors' schedules, the weather change at noon, the delivery truck that always got stuck near the school. Everything matched. Everything. By evening, there was no doubt left in me. I had been reborn. When I returned home, Sana was in my room, sorting through my things like she owned them. She smiled sweetly when she saw me. Api, I thought I'd help you clean. I stared at her until her smile twitched. I made a promise then, silently, fiercely. I would not die the same way again. I would not let them use me. This time, I would see every lie coming. This time, I would survive. I woke up the next morning with a clear purpose. If Sana wanted to play the innocent little sister, then fine. I would play the caring older sister she expected. But inside, I stayed sharp, cold, and alert. I watched her every move like a hawk watches a snake in the grass. And it didn't take long for the cracks in her halo to show. At breakfast, she floated around the kitchen with her usual sweet voice. Ami, should I help you pack lunch for AP today? She asked, smiling at me like she loved me more than anything. I forced a soft smile. Actually, Sana, didn't you borrow money from Ami last week? You said you'd return it. Soon. Sana froze for half a second, just half, but I saw it. Ami paused too, her eyebrows pulling together. Money? Sana, when did this happen? Sana laughed too quickly. Oh, Api is joking, you know her. I took a slow sip of tea. Maybe I'm mixing it up. I could swear you said you needed the money for a school project. Abu lowered his newspaper a little, just enough to look at her. Sana's smile tightened at the edges. Why would I borrow money for a school project? She asked lightly. That's what I'm asking, I said. Her eyes flashed for a moment before she looked down, pretending to wipe crumbs off the table. I didn't push further. I didn't need to. The seed was planted. Later, at family dinner, I tested another memory. Sana, did you drop off Abu's documents yesterday? He said you promised you would. Abu looked up sharply. Documents? Sana blinked fast. What documents? You said you'd go to the office for him, I said calmly. I never said that, she snapped before she could soften her tone. Abu leaned back, watching her now. You told me you were free that day, he said slowly. Sana laughed again, this time strained. I think you two are mixing things up. But she knew. She knew I remembered the exact week she let Abu down and then blamed me for forgetting the documents. This time, I stayed quiet and let the discomfort settle around her. By the time I left for work, she was already on edge. Walking into my old office felt strange, like stepping back into a life I had already lived, except now I wasn't blind. I passed familiar desks, familiar faces, and then I noticed her. Hira, the junior coworker who Sana had bullied so quietly the first time around that most people thought Hira was just overly sensitive. She nearly jumped when I approached her desk. Oh, Sonia ma'am, hello, she said nervously. I softened my voice. Just call me Sonia. Are you settling in okay? She blinked in surprise. Yes, I think so. Her hands shook slightly as she adjusted her files. I remembered this. I remembered Sana whispering terrible things about her, spreading rumors that Hira was incompetent. I wasn't going to let history repeat itself. Hira, I said gently, if you ever need help, or if someone treats you unfairly, you can talk to me. Her eyes widened. Really? Yes. Really. That small promise pulled her closer instantly. Over the next few days, I listened carefully. To people, to whispers, even to my own memories. Every time Sana sent me a message, every time she tried to borrow something or asked for favors, I saved everything. Screenshots, emails, texts, all of it. I let her talk her way into small lies the same way she always had. Except now, I didn't react emotionally. I reacted intelligently. One afternoon, she called me while I was still at work. Api? Her sweet voice came through. You know the file. You made for your boss? Can you send it to me? I want to practice. Practice. That was what she always said before stealing my work. I smiled even though she couldn't see me. Sure, I'll send it, I said. And I did. But this time it was a decoy version. One with missing sections and subtle mistakes. Enough to annoy her. enough to expose her later if she tried something stupid. When I hung up, Hira looked at me curiously. Your sister? Something like that, I said, not explaining more. But inside, I was steady, prepared, awake. I wasn't ready to strike. Not yet. But I was no longer blind. And Sana? She had no idea that her perfect little mask was already starting to crack. Walking back into the company felt like stepping onto the battlefield where I had once died. My hands were steady, but inside, something cold and sharp pressed against my ribs, reminding me why I was here. I pushed open the glass door, letting the familiar smell of coffee and printer ink wash over me. Round 2, I whispered under my breath. Mr. Siddiqui spotted me from across the office. Sania, you're early again, he said with that same proud but distracted smile he always gave me. Good, good. Hard work pays off. Yes, sir, I replied, keeping my smile soft and harmless. I knew what he saw. A hard-working, naive girl who didn't know the world was ready to eat her alive. I let him think that. It kept things easy. When I reached my desk, I opened my laptop and immediately set up the barriers I never had before. New passwords, double backups, files hidden inside layers of folders Sana would never be able to untangle. Every design, every email, every document was now under my control. No more open desktops, no more unlocked files, no more trusting people who didn't deserve trust. As the morning settled in, Mahira strutted over to my desk, her heels clicking like a warning bell. Sania, she said, dragging my name like honey. You look so pretty today. New lipstick? I raised an eyebrow. Same Mahira, same sugary poison. Just something I had lying around, I said. She leaned closer. I heard things have been tense at home. Everything okay? I smiled politely. Everything is perfect. Her eyes narrowed for a split second before her mask snapped back on. Good. You know you can always talk to me. Of course, I lied smoothly. She moved on to the next victim, whispering to a coworker while pretending to offer snacks. I listened, not obviously, but enough to catch the names she dropped. Who she thought was lazy, who she thought was secretly dating who she believed was using me. Her patterns matched my memories almost perfectly. But this time, I didn't swallow the poison. I stored it quietly, tucking every detail into a mental file. By noon, I found Hira at the printer, struggling with a jammed tray. Her shoulders were tight with stress. Need help? I asked. She jumped slightly, before nodding. Yes, please. I don't know why this thing hates me. It hates everyone, I said, stepping beside her and pulling the jammed paper free. She gave a nervous laugh. Thank you. I swear I'm trying, but everyone here is so sharp. You're doing fine, I told her. If you need someone to talk to or ask questions, just come to me. Her eyes lit up like I'd handed her a lifeline. Really? Really. And just like that, another ally. Around 3 p.m., my phone buzzed. A message from Sana. Sana. Appy, can you please send me your new designs? I want to show them to my teacher. I almost laughed. Teacher? Right. More like future boyfriend's mother. I typed back. Me. Sure. Sending in 5 minutes. Then I opened a decoy file, the one I'd prepared days ago. Designs half finished, color palettes mismatched, descriptions vague. They looked like something a lazy student would scribble together at the last minute. I added a few extra mistakes to make them even harder to defend. 5 minutes later, I hit send. My phone buzzed again immediately. Sana. Api, are these correct? They look different from your usual style. I replied calmly. Me. Just practicing new concepts. A long pause. Then, Sana. Oh. Okay. I could practically hear her grinding her teeth. Good. Around the same time, Mahira plopped onto the chair next to mine. So, she whispered dramatically, I heard Sana might get a big opportunity soon. Must be exciting for your family. I shrugged. We'll see. She blinked, thrown off. You're not jealous? Why would I be? I asked lightly. Mahira stared at me, confused. In the past, those words would have cut into me, made me defensive, made me spiral. Not anymore. I had changed, even if they didn't know it. As the day went on, more coworkers wandered by my desk than usual, asking for help with formatting, asking for advice, asking for my opinion. Before, I had been too distracted and miserable to notice how valuable my presence was. Now I leaned into it, letting my kindness be my strength instead of my weakness. Hira sat with me during the last half hour. You know, she said quietly, Mahira keeps saying you're too soft for this place, but I don't think that's true. I smiled faintly. She underestimates people. It's her habit. Well, I'm glad you're here, she added shyly. I nodded, feeling something warm settle in my chest. This was the part of my life Sana never cared about, the part she always tried to steal or ruin. Not this time. When I finally left the office, the evening breeze felt different, softer, sharper, more mine. I had returned to the scene of the crime, but this time I wasn't the victim waiting for the knife. I was the one holding it. I felt my heartbeat crawling up my throat the moment I saw him walk into the cafe. It was strange, watching a ghost of my own past stroll toward me with that same confident smile, the same relaxed shoulders, the same easy charm that once made me fall so painfully hard. Rayan didn't know me yet. Not really. To him, this was our first meeting. But to me, it felt like walking barefoot on broken glass. Sanya, he said, stepping close with a warm smile. I've heard so much about you. I swallowed the bitterness rising in my chest. Good things, I hope, I said, keeping my tone light. He laughed softly. Only good things. He pulled out a chair for me like he was some gentleman in an old drama. I sat down, but my spine stayed stiff, every muscle ready to pull away if he came too close. Sana slid into the seat beside me, her eyes shining with excitement. Api, Rayan is really successful. He works with his father, you know. The Malik business is huge. I nodded, pretending to be impressed. That's nice. Rayan chuckled. Sana exaggerates. I'm still learning. I raised an eyebrow. In my last life, he never said he was learning. All he talked about was how brilliant he was, how the company needed him. Interesting. He was trying to sound humble this time. So, Sanya, he said, leaning forward. What do you do? I answered simply. I'm a designer, still building myself. He grinned. That's great. Sana says you're very creative. I glanced at Sana, who was smiling like a cat guarding stolen milk. She gives me too much credit, I said calmly. Sana's fingers tightened on her purse. She didn't like that. She wanted me to shine just enough to make her look good, but not enough to threaten her spotlight. I knew her patterns too well. As the waiter came to take our order, Rayan snapped his fingers at him. Bye, excuse me, can you hurry? We've been waiting. My stomach tightened. Just like before. Fake charm for the rich. Zero respect for anyone he thought was below him. The waiter apologized, but Rayan waved him off. Just bring 3 coffees. Strong. Then he turned back to me with a smooth smile like nothing happened. I didn't smile back. So, tell me something interesting about yourself, he asked. I like quiet evenings and minding my own business, I said. He blinked. Twice. Oh, that's nice. I fought the urge to laugh. Last time, I had tried so hard to seem impressive to him. Now I wanted nothing from him at all. I let him think I was boring, ordinary, someone he'd never choose. His eyes wandered to Sana's phone as it buzzed, and she quickly tilted the screen away. His jaw twitched just slightly. Sana giggled and said, too loudly, "Just a friend texting?" "Sure, a friend." I watched the way Rayon's foot tapped beneath the table, the way he avoided my eyes for a moment, the way Sana pretended not to notice him noticing her. They weren't in their affair phase yet, but the seeds were there. I could see it clearly this time. The waiter returned with our coffees, and Rayan didn't even look at him when he placed the cups down. "Thanks," he muttered under his breath, already focused on his reflection in the window. "So, Sonia," he said again, "your mother mentioned you're very responsible. She said you always put your family first." "I used to," I replied quietly. "I'm learning to put myself first now." That threw him off even more. Sana quickly jumped in. "Appy is joking. She loves taking care of everyone." I smiled at her, sharp and cold inside. Maybe not anymore. Her fingers curled around her cup a little too tightly. After a few more forced questions, Rayan leaned back in his chair. "You're different from what I expected," he said thoughtfully. "Is that good or bad?" I asked. "I'm not sure," he admitted with a smirk. "Good. Let him stay unsure." When we finally left the cafe, Ami called. I put her on speaker. "Beta, how is the meeting? Rayan is handsome, isn't he? Very polite, too." I kept my voice steady. "He seems nice." "Oh, I think he would be a good match for you," she said, sounding hopeful. I saw Sana stiffen beside me. Perfect. I let a soft pause hang in the air before answering. "Ami, I don't know. He might be a better match for someone more like him." Sana's breath hitched. "What do you mean?" she asked too quickly. "Just that you two understand each other so well," I said lightly. "You talk the same way. You think the same way. You'd get along." Her eyes flickered with something close to panic, then excitement. She didn't realize I was pushing her toward her own downfall. "Oh, Appy," she said shyly, "you're being silly." But her smile stretched wider, greedier. Ami chuckled on the phone. "Well, we'll see. Sana always did get along with boys better than you." "Exactly," I said. "Maybe this time she should take the lead." Sana looked at me like she was trying to read my mind, but she couldn't. Not anymore. As she walked ahead, texting someone with bright eyes, I stayed behind and let the cool evening breeze wash over me. Let them walk into the trap together. Let them think they were winning. I would be waiting. The first time I lived through this week, I kept telling myself everything would be fine, that Sana was just excited, that Rayan was just friendly, that their families were just traditional. Now, walking through it again with open eyes felt like watching a slow-moving storm I already knew would destroy everything. Except this time, I wasn't the one standing unprotected in the middle. The engagement talks began exactly the way I remembered. Polite smiles, fake compliments, and endless whispers about gold, status, and family expectations. I followed Ami and Sana into a dress boutique, pretending to admire fabrics while Sana draped herself in every expensive outfit she could find. "Appy, what do you think?" she asked, twirling in a glittering peach dress. "It's pretty," I said, softly. Mrs. Malik gave me a passing glance, then leaned toward Sana. "You look stunning, Beta. Some people just don't have the natural glow you do." She meant me. She always meant me. I smiled anyway. "You're right, Mrs. Malik. Sana always stands out." Her lips curled with approval, completely missing the steel underneath my calm tone. Let her underestimate me. Let her think I was harmless. Last time, that belief blinded her so completely, she never saw the truth coming. At the jewelry shop, Mrs. Malik complained about the lighting, the display, even the chairs. "These small places," she said, loud enough for everyone around to hear. Always make me appreciate how simple life is for some families. My jaw tightened, but I stayed silent. Ami forced a polite laugh, acting like she didn't notice the insult, while Sana nodded eagerly. Auntie, I told Appy the same thing, but she doesn't understand these things. I turned to Sana. Oh, I understand perfectly, I said with a small smile. Better than anyone here. Sana's smile flickered, but she turned away before anyone else noticed. By the third day, Rayon's family had set up a meeting at a fancy restaurant. I watched Rayon pull out Sana's chair with exaggerated charm, then complain about the waiter being too slow. I noticed the way he touched his cufflinks every time someone mentioned money, and how his eyes followed every woman who walked past our table. I stayed quiet, answering only when spoken to. Mrs. Malik eyed me up and down. Sania, dear, you speak so little. I prefer watching people, I replied. She laughed, thinking it was shy humor. Sana shot me a warning glare. I ignored her. At work, things moved faster. Sana accidentally walked into my cubicle twice that week, pretending she needed help with her assignments. AP, can you just show me how you organized your project? She asked sweetly. Sure, I said, clicking open a folder labeled Draft, the one with incomplete sketches, timestamps showing she hadn't touched any part of it, and notes that made it obvious she was unprepared. This is what I have. Her eyes widened. This is all? Yes. Why? I asked innocently. She swallowed hard. No reason. Hira, who I had placed at the desk behind mine, watched everything silently. Later, she whispered, Your sister really wanted that file, didn't she? She always wants things that aren't hers, I replied. Hira hesitated. Should I say anything if someone asks me about today? You don't have to lie, I said gently. Just tell the truth. She nodded, determination settling in her eyes. Another piece set on the board. By afternoon, I updated all my files with time-stamped emails, added digital footprints, and saved copies in places no one else could reach. Every move I made this time was careful, like lighting small candles through a dark hallway I had once stumbled through blind. At home, Sana tried again. Appy, can you look at my presentation? It's for Rayon's father. Maybe later, I said. She huffed. You never help me anymore. I met her eyes calmly. You don't need my help. You always manage on your own, don't you? Her jaw tightened. She stormed out, slamming the door just like she did in my first life. Except this time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt in control. That night, after everyone slept, I pulled out my old notebooks, the ones I had kept buried in the back of my closet. They were filled with timelines I had written after my downfall, desperate scribbles trying to understand how everything had gone wrong. I flipped through them slowly, tracing my own handwriting. This was the week, I whispered. The week they moved against me. I wrote new notes beside the old ones, times, dates, names, patterns. Then I opened my laptop. I played recordings of their calls, conversations I remembered word for word. I wrote down proof of Sana's lies, every manipulation she used, every small crime she committed without guilt. I wrote down the things Rayon said about women, the way he talked about money, the things he never wanted others to hear. The fear was still there, sitting quietly in my chest like a shadow that hadn't learned how to leave me. But something else had grown beside it. Something stronger, sharper, steadier. This time, I whispered to myself, I'm the one watching you. And I wasn't afraid of the storm anymore. Not when I had already survived its worst part. The hall blazed with lights and loud music when I walked in. Gold curtains, flower walls, fake smiles everywhere. I smoothed my simple navy dress and reminded myself why I had chosen it. I wasn't here to shine. I was here to end something. Ami tugged at my sleeve. Sonia, at least wear more jewelry, she whispered. People will think we don't take care of you. I'm fine like this, I said. It suits me. She sighed and turned toward the stage. Sana sat there like a diamond on display, dressed in silver and crystals, her eyes lowered in fake shyness. Rayan stood beside her in his sherwani, shaking hands like a proud king. Guests whispered around me. She looks like a movie star, one woman said. Rayan is so lucky, another replied. Mrs. Malik swept past us, dripping in gold. Make sure the dessert table looks full, she snapped at a waiter. Then she smiled at Sana. You look perfect, Beta. Better than any girl we could have found. I smiled to myself. Enjoy it while you can, I murmured. Talking to yourself already? A voice said. I turned. Hamza stood there in a plain suit, hair slightly messy, eyes sharp. You okay? He asked softly. Yes, I said. He frowned. Your yes sounds like I'm about to do something dangerous. I gave a small laugh. Maybe I am. He glanced toward the stage. You're sure? She ruined my life in front of everyone, I said. It's only fair she hears the truth the same way. He nodded once. Then I'm with you. The host's voice boomed over the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The ring ceremony will begin shortly. My hands were cold, but my mind was steady. I checked my phone. Recordings ready. Screenshots ready. Connection to the sound system ready. No going back. The music softened, and people gathered closer to the stage. I moved with them, stopping near the front. Sana's eyes found mine. For a second her smile slipped. Then she looked away, nose tilted up, like I was a stain on her perfect picture. Rayan took the mic. Thank you for being here, he said. Today I get to promise my life to someone very special. Us. I remembered when he said that about me. The staff brought the ring trays. Sana picked up the ring, fingers shaking with excitement. Cameras flashed. The crowd leaned forward. Before you start, I said. My voice was calm, but it sliced through the noise. Heads turned. The hall grew very quiet. Rayan frowned. Sania, what is it? Sana's hand dropped back to the tray. AP, she hissed through her smile. Please don't do this. Not now. I only need a moment, I said. Mrs. Malik glared. This is their day. Whatever it is, keep it for later. No, I answered. Later is how we got here. Ami grabbed my wrist. Sania, you are embarrassing us. I looked at her. You told me to always speak the truth, Ami. Her fingers loosened. She looked scared. I stepped away. I raised my phone toward the sound desk. The technician saw my signal and hit the button we had agreed on. The soft music cut off. Since we're celebrating love and honesty, I said, let's hear some of it. Sana took a step toward me. Turn it off, she muttered. I'm warning you. I ignored her and pressed play. Her voice filled the hall loud and sharp. Rayan's family is so easy to fool. His mother acts rich, but her taste is cheap. Gasps shot through the crowd. Mrs. Malik went stiff. Another clip played. Sana laughed in it. I use Sonia's designs. Why waste my time? She works like a donkey anyway. Rayan turned slowly to her. You said those were yours, he whispered. Sana's eyes darted around. This is fake. She's editing my voice. You know I would never... I cut her off with the next recording. Her tone was low and cruel. Once I'm engaged to Rayan, Sonia can disappear. Let people think she's crazy. It only makes me look better. Abu stood up. Sana, he said, voice shaking. Is that you? Ami covered her mouth with her dupatta. Ya Allah. Sana's face crumpled. Api, please, she cried. We can talk at home. Stop this, please. Like you talked about me at home? I asked. Like you twisted every word I said? I tapped my screen again. The big projector behind the stage lit up with screenshots. Ryan. Don't worry, I'll pretend to like her until your parents agree. Sana. She's already obsessed. It's pathetic. Ryan. Good. Watching her fall will be fun. The whispers turned into open disgust. Record this, someone said. How cheap, another voice spat. Ryan clenched his jaw. These are private messages, he snapped. You had no right to show them. You had no right to use me, I replied, to play with my feelings for your game. He stepped closer, eyes hard. You should have spoken to me first. I did, I said quietly. You called me desperate. He had no answer to that. Mrs. Malik rounded on Sana. You mocked us? You called my taste cheap? She demanded. Auntie, I was just joking, Sana sobbed. You know how I talk. AP is twisting everything. The recording of her laugh replayed, cruel and clear. I faced the guests. While he pretended to court me, they stole my work, lied about me, and treated me like a joke. I believed them. I almost died because of them. Not again. My voice broke for a second, but I held my head high. Hamza stepped closer, shoulders squared. She's telling the truth, he said. I saw the messages. I saw what they did. Phones pointed at us from every angle now. Sana's hands trembled so much she dropped the ring. It rolled off the tray and vanished under the stage. She stared at the empty spot, then at me. Appy, she whispered. I'm your sister. You remembered that too late, I said. Mrs. Malik grabbed Rayon's arm. We are leaving, she announced. This engagement is cancelled. Sana lunged forward. No, Auntie, please don't do this. Please. Rayon pulled away from her. You used me too, he muttered. You made me look like an idiot. For once, we agree, I said quietly. He shot me a dark look. You'll regret this. I already regretted staying quiet, I replied. I don't regret speaking. He turned and walked out with his parents, leaving Sana alone on the stage under all those lights. The music was off. Only whispers and the clicks of cameras filled the hall. Abu stared at Sana like she was a stranger. All this time? He asked. We trusted you more than her. Ami's eyes were full of tears. How could you hurt your own sister like this? Sana didn't answer. Her lips moved, but no words came. I stepped down from the front, my legs shaky but my back straight. Hamza fell into step beside me. You did it, he murmured. Yes, I said. I finally did. The engagement that had once broken me had shattered them instead. And this time, I was the one walking away alive. The moment the engagement cracked open, the hall turned into a storm of voices, gasps, and flashing camera lights. Mrs. Malik stood frozen for 2 whole seconds, her mouth hanging open, before she snapped. She slapped the engagement tray. So hard it flew from the table, rings scattering across the floor like tiny pieces of broken promises. How dare you humiliate my family like this? She screamed at Sana. Do you think we are fools? Sana stumbled back, shaking her head wildly. Auntie, please, it's not what it looks like. It looks exactly like what we just heard, Mrs. Malik snapped. Your voice mocking us, insulting our home, our traditions. How do you explain that? Rayan ran a hand through his hair, pacing in tight circles. I can't believe this, he muttered. Then he spun toward me, eyes blazing. You did this on purpose. You want to destroy us. I didn't even flinch. I only showed the truth, I said quietly. That wasn't truth, he yelled. Those messages were private. You twisted things. I cut him off. Read them again if you need help understanding your own words. Gasps rippled through the hall. A few guests let out soft whistles. Someone whispered, He's finished. Rayon's face burned red. You had no right. You had no right, I replied. Not to lie, not to play with me, not to use me as a backup plan. Phones were pointed at us from every angle. The young cousins in the back rows were already posting live updates. Mahira stood near the dessert table, pressing herself against the wall, trying to stay out of the frame. She avoided my eyes like she was afraid the truth might jump from my mouth onto her. Ami stepped forward, eyes full of tears. Sania, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you say anything before? I looked at her, but I didn't speak yet. This wasn't the moment. Abu grabbed Sana's arm. What did you do? He demanded. What have you done to your sister? To all of us? Sana shook uncontrollably. Api is twisting everything, she cried. She hates me. That's why she did this. She wants to ruin my life. I didn't record your voice for you, I said. You did that yourself. She ignored me and pointed at our parents. It's not my fault. I was pressured. You always compared us. You always made me feel less. I had to do something to get attention. Abu stepped back as if she slapped him. We compared you? Is this your excuse? Yes, Sana sobbed. If Abi wasn't always perfect, I wouldn't have needed to betray me? I finished for her. She stopped mid-sentence, eyes wide, lips trembling. She looked around like she was drowning and expecting someone to pull her out. No one did. Rayon threw his hands up. You ruined everything, he shouted at her. My family is leaving because of you. Because of us, she screamed back. You told me to do it. You said you needed time and she was in the way. Shut up, he hissed, stepping close to her. Don't drag me into your madness. Your messages dragged you, I said softly. People murmured again. This wasn't just drama anymore. This was spectacle, and everyone loved a scandal that wasn't theirs. Mahira edged toward the exit, but a guest blocked her path. Weren't you the one who said Sana is the smartest girl in the office? He asked loudly. Anything to say now? Mahira paled and shook her head quickly. I don't know anything. I'm just a coworker. But she knew. She had always known. She just didn't think I'd ever fight back. Sana pointed at me again, tears streaming. You don't understand, Appy. I didn't mean to hurt you. You always get everything. Attention, respect, love. My laugh was soft but sharp. Love? I said. Is that what you call lying about me? Ruining my work? Whispering to everyone that I'm unstable? I didn't. She started. You did, I said. You told people I was jealous. You told Rayon's family I was desperate. You stole my designs and claimed them. You wanted everything I had because you thought you deserved it more. Sana's face twisted. Because I do. Why should you have the success? Why should people praise you? You're not better than me. There it was. The truth she never intended to reveal. Ami's cry filled the hall. Sana, what are you saying? But Sana wasn't done. She stepped closer to me, voice shaking with hate and fear. You think you're some saint? You think you're innocent? You're not. You're nothing. You act good so people pity you. I straightened my back. The old me would have crumbled right here, but not this time. I don't need pity, I said. I needed family. I needed honesty. I needed love. And you, both of you, sold all of that for attention. Rayon snorted. You're being dramatic. I looked at him, calm and cold. You pretended to care about me while planning a future with her. You used me for convenience. You made me feel worthless. And you expected me to stay quiet. He didn't have an answer. Sana collapsed to the floor, crying uncontrollably. Please, please, Api, don't leave me like this. You already left me, I said. You walked away the day you decided I was your obstacle. The hall fell silent. Then Hamza stepped beside me, his voice low but steady. She's not alone anymore, he said. and she doesn't owe anyone here an explanation beyond what she gave. I inhaled slowly. My chest was tight, not with fear, but with release. I looked at my parents one last time. I'm done trying to prove my worth to people who traded it for lies. Sonia. Ami reached for me. I stepped back. Not now. Maybe later. But not now. Then I turned, walking toward the exit. Every step felt heavy and freeing at the same time. Behind me, the hall erupted again, shouting, crying, arguing, but I didn't turn back. Let them face their own ruin. Let the truth settle on them like dust they could never wipe off. I had carried the burden long enough. Now it was their turn. Months passed, and the chaos that once filled every corner of my mind slowly faded into a distant echo. Sometimes, when I woke up in the morning, I almost forgot the engagement night happened at all. But then a message, a whisper, or a sudden memory would remind me. My world had burned, and I had walked straight through the flames. I looked back at that night with a strange calm now. Not pride, not regret, just calm. Sana's downfall had taken on a life of its own. The videos spread through every family chat, every neighbor's phone, every gossip circle. Her perfect reputation, built on lies and sweet smiles, collapsed faster than she could beg people to stop sharing the clips. A daughter like this is a curse, a distant aunt said once, not knowing I heard her. Rayon's name didn't escape untouched either. His family canceled the engagement before he could even form an excuse. His proud circle whispered behind his back, mocking him for getting played by the very girl he had plotted with. He tried calling me twice, probably hoping to twist the narrative again, but I blocked him without a second thought. I didn't need to push anything further. Karma had taken over, and it did a far better job than I ever could. Home felt quieter after that. Not peaceful, just quiet. The kind of quiet that has cracks in it. Ami spoke more gently to me, as if she finally realized how much she had failed to see. Abu checked on me more often, asking how work was, if I needed anything, if I was eating properly. But the emptiness in the house was real, a shadow that moved between rooms. Sana stayed in her bedroom most days. Sometimes I heard her crying, sometimes arguing on the phone, sometimes sitting in silence. One evening, she finally came to my room. Her eyes were swollen, her hair uncombed, and her voice hollow. "Are you proud of yourself?" she asked. "You ruined me." I put down my pen. "No," I said. "I'm not proud." She frowned, confused. "Then why did you do it?" "Because you left me no choice," I said. "I didn't ruin you, Sana. You did that all on your own." She sniffed, wiping her face angrily. "You wanted revenge. Don't pretend you didn't." "I wanted the truth," I replied, "and I wanted my life back." She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Maybe she didn't. The old me, the one she could manipulate, guilt trip, and break, was gone long before the engagement ended. "I'm your sister," she whispered. "Doesn't that mean anything?" I shook my head slowly. "Not the way you made it mean?" Her lips trembled. "So you hate me now?" "No," I said. "I don't hate you." She blinked, stunned. "But I don't forgive you either," I continued. "I'm not here to destroy you, Sana. I'm just done carrying your weight." For a moment, we just stood there. Two sisters, separated by years of lies and choices we couldn't undo. Sana took a step back and turned away without another word. It was the last real conversation we ever had. With time, the house became too heavy for me, too full of memories, too full of silence. Hamza noticed before anyone else. "You need space," he said one morning as we walked to work. "Real space. To breathe." "I know," I said. He helped me find a small apartment near the office. Nothing fancy, Just a quiet place with sunlight in the mornings and a balcony that caught the evening breeze. Mr. Siddiqui, seeing my dedication and growth, finally started treating me like someone with real potential, not just a girl grateful for any assignment. Work felt different now. So did life. One evening, I stood on my balcony, watching the city lights blink awake. The air felt cool against my skin, carrying the distant smell of rain. For the first time, I didn't think about Sana, or Ryan, or revenge. I thought about me. I realized that I hadn't been reborn just to expose lies or to punish the people who hurt me. That was only the beginning. I was reborn to build a life that was finally mine. A life where I chose myself. A life where I didn't break for anyone. A life where I was allowed to breathe, allowed to dream, allowed to live. I closed my eyes and let the wind wash over me. I wasn't walking away from the ashes anymore. I was walking towards something new.